Hello student, welcome. Today we will start our new chapter, that is the electoral politics. In this chapter we will start with the introduction portion. In this chapter we will discuss about some election process within a country. After then we will discuss about how the election process was democratic within a country, and after then we will discuss about the system of election in India, in which lots of the process are there, and at the last we will discuss on the points how what's the things that make elections as a democratic within India. Let's start our chapter. First of all, that's the introductions of our chapter. In democracy, people do not give directly controls with the peoples. It will be the governed directly or indirectly by the some representative. This government is known as the representative types of a government, and the representative was selected by the elections process. Electoral system are the detailed constitution arrangement and the voting system that convert the vote into a political decision, means they will select the peoples who will govern on the peoples. The first step is to tally the votes, for which the various votes counting system and the ballot types are used. Voting system then determines the result on the basis of the tally. Now come to the elections process. This is a one kind of a mechanism and the procedure by which the people choose their representative at the regular interval. Basically the 5 periods is 5 years time period is there, is called an election. Now the procedure of election can be understood by the following real example of a Haryana Assembly elections in the year 1987. Now that process was started with the formation of a new party, that is the Lok Dals. In Haryana had been ruled with the Congress party since 1982. At that time, the Chaudhry Devi Lal was as opposition's leader. He led movement called the Nyay Yuddh. That is the slogan was given by the Devi Lal. Which means it's a struggle for the justice, and formed the new party, that is the Lok Dal. After then the election campaigning of the Devi Lals was come there. In election campaigning of the 1987 assembly election, the Devi Lal promised the voters that if his party win, he would waive the loans of the farmer and the small businessman. That is the major problems of Haryana at that time. Okay. So, and this is the image of a Chaudhry Devi Lal at that time. Now, the voter favorite in the Lok Dal, as the people were unhappy with the existing government, that is the Congress government, they were attacked by the Devi Lal's promises. They voted in favor of the Lok Dal, and obviously the Devi Lal, and its partners won the 76 out of the 90 seats. And after then the result was announced, the Lok Dal won 60 seats alone, and thus had a clear majority in the assembly and make a government. And in that election the Congress got only the 5 seats. As the election result was announced, the existing chief minister of the Congress resigned. After then the Devi Lal became the new chief minister of the Haryana. The newly elected members of the legislative assembly, in short that are the MLAs of the Lok Dal, chose Devi Lal as their leader. The governor invited Devi Lal to be the new chief minister of Haryana. After 3 days of the election result, he took oath. Then his governor issued the government orders, or the GO, waiving the outstanding loans of the small farmers, agriculture laborers and the small businessmen, as he promised earlier. The Congress again formed the government. Lok Dal ruled the states for 4 years. In 1991, the election party did not win the people's support. This time the Congress won the elections and the formations of the new government. Now, the question is arise that why there is a need of a constitution within a country. Constitution is required to the safeguard and interest of the safeguard of the common people, where they belongs to the major community or the minority community. It means it will remove the discrimination between the peoples. It generates a degree of the trust and the coordination among the peoples that is necessary for the different kinds of people living together. It specifies how the government will be constituted and who will have the power to make their decisions. It lays down the limits of the power of the government and also specify the right of the citizen. It also expresses the aspirations of the people about creating a good society and the mutual understanding amongst the people. Now comes to the topic, what make an election a democratic elections. Everyone should have the right to choose the representative. It means that every peoples within a country have the one vote and the every vote have the equal values on the universal adder franchise basis. Political party and the candidate should be free to contest election and offer some real choice to the voters. The choice should be offered at a regular interval. Basically, the time period is a 5 years by the conducting elections after certain time periods, which is a 5 years. The candidate preferred by the people only should get elected. Elections are conducted in the free and the fair manners, where the people choose their representative whom they really wish. Now, come to the political competitions. Basically, the political elections is a power play. Elections are all about the competitions or the power play. Political competition take place when the different political party compete to gain a confidence and the vote to the voters. They make promises and give incentives to the motivate and वोटर टू वोट टेम, यानी कि दुनिया भर के प्रयास करते हैं कि कैसे वोटर उनकी पार्टी को या उनके लीडर्स को वोट दे. दिस इलेक्शन कॉम्पिटिशन हैव द मैनी डिमेरिट्स. इट क्रिएट्स अ सेंस ऑफ ए डिसयूनिटी एंड द factionalisms or the groupism and the party politics in every locality. Different political party and the candidate often use the dirty tricks like the booth capturing to win the elections. The pressures to win election for electoral fights does not allow to form useful long-term policy. They will be making short-term promises. The competition leads to be an idea of being tracked into the unhealthy competition. That's why good people do not enter and participate in the political competition. The electoral competition also have the some merits also. एक तरफ हमने demerit की बात की, अब बात करते हैं कुछ merits की, which is important in the democratic governments. Regular electoral competition provide the incentives to the political party and the leaders. If they can satisfy the voter with their works, they will be able to win again. If a political party is motivated only by desire to be in power, even then it will be forced to serve the people. It reverses the real motive of the political party, a great choice to the voter to choice among the best. Now, come to the system of election within a country. Basically, in India, there is a Lok Sabha election and the Vidhan Sabha elections are held regularly after the 5 years time period. After the 5 years, the term of all the elected representatives come to an end. यानी कि उनका वर्क शेड्यूल या टाइम पीरियड कंप्लीट हो जाता है हर 5 साल के बाद. Elections are held in all the constituency at the same time, either on the same day or within a few days. This is also known as the general election. यानी कि जो इलेक्शन हर 5 साल में किए जाते हैं टाइम पीरियड में, उनको हम जनरल इलेक्शंस कहते हैं. Sometime election is held only for the one constitution to fill the vacancy used by the death or the resignations of the any members. उस इलेक्शंस को हम बाई इलेक्शंस कहते हैं. यानी कि जब भी किसी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में सीट वैकेंट होती है, चाहे वो कैंडिडेट मर जाए या उसका रेजिग्नेशन आ जाए, तो उस समय पे जो इलेक्शंस होते हैं वो पर्टिकुलर उसी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में होते हैं और उस इलेक्शन को बाई इलेक्शंस कहा जाता है. Now, that is the Parliament House and the symbols of a different parties. Electoral Constitution. Let's discuss with what is the main of electoral constituencies. In India, an area based on the system of representations in the following, where the country is divided into the different areas for the purpose of the elections. This all called the electoral constituency. यानी कि जब elections कराने के पर्पज से जब हम देश को छोटे छोटे ग्रुप्स में डिवाइड करते हैं, उन छोटे छोटे एरियाज को ग्रुप्स को हम constituency कहते हैं. Every voter who lives in area votes for one representative. For the Lok Sabha election, India is divided into 543 constituencies. The representative elections from each constituency is called the member of parliament, or by default it is known as MP. For Vidhan Sabha elections, each state is divided into a specific number of the assembly constituency, and the elected representative of the each assembly constitution is called a member of a legislative assembly, or MLA. Now, दिस इज़ अ डिफरेंट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, यानी कि हमारे पूरे देश को अलग अलग कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में डिवाइड किया जाता है, यानी कि इलेक्शन प्रोसेस कंडक्ट कराने के पर्पज से. नाउ देयर इज सम कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन विच इज रिजर्व टू इंश्योर द रिप्रेजेंटेटिव इन द एवरी सेक्शन ऑफ द सोसाइटी. अवर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मेड प्रोविजन टू रिजर्व द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, यानी कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में हर कैटेगरी, चाहे SC है, ST है, OBC या वुमेन है, हर एक की सीट रिजर्व हो ताकि उनके फेवर में भी कोई डिसीजन हो सके. सो कुछ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को रिजर्व कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बनाया जाता है. Okay, in the year 2012, 84 seats was reserved for the scheduled caste and the 47 for the ST in the Lok Sabha elections. This system of the reservation was extended later to the other weaker section at the district or the local level, जिनको हम other backward caste या OBC कहते हैं. Similarly, 1/3 of the seats are reserved in the rural and the urban local bodies for the woman candidate. Is it clear? Now come to the voter list. That is the one major process to contest the elections. The list of those who are eligible to vote is prepared much before the election and given to everyone. The list is officially called the electoral rolls and is commonly known as the voter list. The right to vote falls under the universal adult franchise, यानी कि जो भी 18 साल से ऊपर का व्यक्ति चाहे मेल हो फीमेल हो किसी भी कम्युनिटी से किसी भी रिलीजन से बिलोंग करता है, he have to cast the vote. So it is a responsibility of the government to get the names of all the eligible voters put on the voter list. ये देख लें, और ये लिस्ट हर साल अपडेट भी की जाती है. A new system of elections photo identity card, that is the EPIC, has been introduced. This card has not been made compulsory for the voting and the voters can show any other proofs of identity like the ration cards, driving license और आधार कार्ड. यानी कि उन्हें फोटो आइडेंटिटी कार्ड के साथ कोई भी प्रूफ देना पड़ता है कि वही पर्सन है जो वोट दे रहे हैं. नाउ दैट इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ ए वोटर लिस्ट जो हर साल 5 साल में अपडेट की जाती है. देख लें, ये हर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इलेक्शन में तैयार की जाती है. And this is a voter card which is issued by the Elections Commissions of India to the every voters who have at the age of 18. So now come to the nomination of the candidate. अभी हमने बात की वोटर्स के बारे में, अब बात करते हैं कैंडिडेट की जो इलेक्शन लड़ते हैं. Anyone who is a voter can also become a candidate in the elections. The only difference to be voter is that the minimum age is 18 years. While to be a voter, it's that the minimum age is 18 years. While to become a candidate, the minimum age is 25 years. देख लें, तो केवल एज का डिफरेंस होता है to the voters or to be candidate. There are also some other restrictions on the criminals, but this applies is a very extreme case. Political party nominated their candidate who get the party support and the symbols. Party nominations is often called the party ticket. The candidate has to fill a nomination form and give the some money as a security deposit. So that is some eligibility for the candidate to become a candidate in the election. Moreover, every candidate has to make a legal declaration. कुछ घोषणा करनी पड़ती हैं जिसमें the things they have to mention is the education qualification of the candidate which is not valuable, detail of the assets and the liabilities of the candidate, and the serious criminal cases pending against the candidate. The information provided has to be made public in the audit so that the voters can make their decision accordingly. There is no education qualification for the candidate for being a MP or the MLA, so that is the major drawback of our democratic government or the election process कि किसी भी कैंडिडेट को किसी भी तरह की एजुकेशन क्वालिफिकेशन पूरी नहीं करनी पड़ती है. Now the day come for the election campaigning. Election campaigning means the promotion or the propaganda of the policies, offers and the promises that the candidate make to the voter to fulfill if they are elected. In our country, election campaigning take place for a week, 2-week period between the announcement of the final list of the candidate and the date of polling. यानी कि उन्हें लगभग 2 हफ्ते का टाइम पीरियड मिलता है अपने प्रचार के लिए. During this period, the candidate contact their electors, political leaders, address elections meeting, and the political party mobilize their supporters. This is also the period when the print media and the television news are full of the election-related stories and the debates. Political party prepare their elections manifestos, means in which they will mention lots of the promises and the policies of the party. They want to attract the publics to the issues and get them to the vote for their parties on that basis. So that is the election manifestos of the BJP and the Congress in which they will mention lots of the promises and policies of the party. Okay, that is one is the manifesto of the BJP government in the elections of 2019 and the manifesto of the Congress government. Now the slogans, lots of the slogans was given by the political party in the different elections time periods. The Congress party led by the Indira Gandhi gave the slogans of the Garibi Hatao in the Lok Sabha election of the 1971, which is very popular. Save Democracy was another slogan which is given by the Janata Party in the Lok Sabha elections of the 1977. The left front used the slogan of a land to the tillers in the West Bengal assembly elections during 1977. Protection the self-respect of the Telugus. That is the famous slogans which is given by the in the assembly election of the Andhra Pradesh by the T and Rama Rao, okay, in 1983. And the one most famous slogans, अच्छे दिन आने वाले हैं, we know the slogans which is given by the BJP leaders in the general election of 2014. Now there is some codes of conduct and the rule laws, जिसको हम rules and regulations कहते हैं, with which is followed by the every candidate. The regular election campaigning, there are some elections laws or the rules. According to these laws, no party or candidate can bribes or threaten the voters. Appeals to them in the name of the caste or the religious is totally restricted. Use government resources for the election campaigning is the ban. Spend more than the rupees 25 lakh in the constitution for a Lok Sabha election. On rupees 10 lakh in the constitution assembly is the assembly election. So that is the restriction of the rupees also. If any party of the candidate is found practicing any of the above, their candidateships can be rejected by the court even after they have won the elections. All the political parties in our country have agreed to the mode code of the conducts election campaigning. No party or the candidate can use any places or the worship places for the election propaganda or the popularities for their parties. No candidate can use the government vehicles, aircraft and the officials for the election campaigning. Once election are announced, ministers said no lay foundation stones of any project, take any big policy decision to make the promises to the provision. यानी कि जब तक इलेक्शंस होते हैं उस समय पे कोई भी मिनिस्टर किसी भी तरह के प्रोजेक्ट को स्टार्ट नहीं कर सकता, ना कोई प्रॉमिस कर सकता है. So now the day is come for the polling. On the day when the voter cast or poll their vote is called the election day or the polling day. Every person whose name is on the voter list can go to the nearby polling booth and cast his or her vote through a secret ballot papers or the election papers. Once the voter goes inside the booth, the election official identify him or her, put a mark on the voter fingers and allow him or her to cast his or her vote. An agent of each candidate is allowed to sit inside the polling booth and ensure that the voting takes place in the fair way. Earlier the voting was done by the putting a stamp on the ballot paper. Is that clear? So that is the polling process on the polling day. That is the system. Okay. यहाँ पे that is the one is the ballot paper in the earlier time. आज की डेट में जो यूज होती है that is the EVM machines which is known as the electronic voting machines. सो दैट इज़ द पोलिंग प्रोसेस. सबसे पहले वहाँ पे सब लोग आते हैं, एक लाइन में जाते हैं, अंदर पोलिंग बूथ में उनके आइडेंटिफिकेशन की जाती है, वेरिफिकेशन किया जाता है, उनके अंगूठे में निशान लगाया जाता है. एंड दैट इज़ द प्लेस वेयर द पीपल्स कैन कास्ट द वोट ऑन द EVM मशीन. So, a ballot paper is a sheet of the paper on which the names of the contesting candidate along with the party name and the symbol are listed. Now, the electronic voting machine or the EVMs are used to record the vote, where voter press buttons against the name of his candidate wants to cast the vote. Once the polling is over, all the EVMs machines are sealed and taken to the secret places. A few days later, on a fixed day, all the EVMs are opened and the votes secured by each candidate are counted. The candidate who secured the highest number of votes from the constituency is declared elections. No, that is the ballot paper and the EVM machine, the process of election machine. Ballot paper में उस सिंबल में एक जस्ट स्टैंप लगाई जाती थी, जबकि EVM मशीन में उनके सामने का एक बटन दबाया जाता है. ये देख लें. सो डेमोक्रेटिक इलेक्शंस इन इंडिया, यानी कि कैसे हम कहें कि हमारे भारत में जो इलेक्शंस होता है वो डेमोक्रेटिक इलेक्शन है. Let's come to discuss on these points. There are the many factors which ensure that the election held in India are a democratic forms of election. In our country, elections are conducted by an independent bodies which name is the Elections Commission or the EC. It enjoys the same kind of independence that the judiciary was. The Chief Election Commission or the CEC is appointed by the President of India. But after appointing Chief Elections Commission is not answerable to even the President or the government. Now, that is the office of the Election Commission of India, and that is the person Mr. Sunil Arora, who is the current Chief Election Commission of our country. Now, come to the discuss about the power of the Elections Commission की क्या-क्या power होती है. It take decisions on the every aspect of conduct and control of the elections. It implement all the code of conduct and the punished any candidate or the party that violate it. During the election period, the election commissions can order the government to follow some guidelines to prevent use and misuse of the government powers to enhance its chances to win elections or the transfers some government officials. Government officers on election duty work under the control of elections commission, not the government. यानी कि जिस समय पे कोई भी गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय इलेक्शन कमीशंस की ड्यूटी में होता है, इलेक्शंस के ड्यूटी में होता है, वो अपने डिपार्टमेंट का एम्प्लॉय नहीं होता है, डायरेक्टली वो इलेक्शन कमीशन के लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल होता है. If elections officials come to the opinion that the polling was not fair in some booths or even an entire constituency, they ordered to repoll all the election process. Now come to that is the one major challenges for the to free and the fair elections. Candidate and the party with a lot of money may not be sure of their victory, but they do enjoy an unfavorable advantages over the smaller parties and the independent candidates. Some candidates with the criminal records are able to secure the party ticket from the major parties due to their political connections. Some families tend to be dominated political party. As we know, a tendency for the dynasty rules is a very common in our country. Elections offer only a little choice to the ordinary citizen. All the major parties are quite similar to each other in the policies and the practices. Smaller party and the independent candidates suffer a huge disadvantage compared to the bigger party in terms of money, power and organization support. So that's it our chapters. If you find any problems, you can contact me or message me. Till then, have a nice day. Thank you all of you.